Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate how I would teach shake paw or shake hands, rollover and figure eights. This is my 7-month-old Border Collie Fundy, and she's going to be demonstrating with me. She does know figure eights and rollover, but I've actually never really tried to teach her shake a paw, so this will be using her as a demo and learning at the exact same time. I use a clicker for most of my beginning training as a marker reward system to tell her that she has done exactly what I'm looking for at that exact moment. And then I usually fade off the clicker and go to just verbal yes when I'm being a little bit less precise and she's got it going. And I typically use a sequence of reward depending on what I'm doing. So verbal praise or the clicker, followed by maybe giving her a pet, just saying that she's a good girl, and then reaching for the food. I do have a food pouch on me because she's a Border Collie, and going into agility, we use toys a lot of the time for her reward, but because most people, I think the average dog owner doesn't have a lot of toy-driven dogs like Border Collies can be, treat pouches and having food handy is a lot easier. So the first thing we're going to teach is her shake paw. So I'm going to get down here to her level. I'm going to get her into a sit, and I'm going to get a little cookie. She's not necessarily very pawy, so some people when they're teaching this will put the food down low and wait for her to lift a paw. And she's offering behaviors. Get her to touch the paw to the top of your hand. She's not very pawy, so I would probably start by having the food in her hand, and when she does lift the paw, I wasn't even paying attention that time, I would reward them. So looking for her to lift the paw, yes, and then give her the click, and then give her the reward, and see if she can repeat that. She really likes her rollover to sits. Yes. So sometimes what will end up happening is as she's coming up with her food and her paw, she's going to look for a little bit of a paw target. We're not even on the rollover yet. And so I was a little bit late on the clip there because you didn't really see her very well. Now this dog knows it's your choice, so she might back off on this particular one. It's okay. So she's probably a little bit confused now as to what it is that I'm looking for. She didn't give me, there we go, yes. She lifted her paw, got the click. So now she's gotten it. She's doing a little faster. Not all dogs will get this as quickly. Border Collies are very smart, so they don't need as many repetitions to really get it. The next thing I would do is once I'm feeling very confident, I'm not quite confident that she'll offer, I will get rid of the food from my hand, so get rid of the lure and simply get her into a sit and see if she will paw target, there we go, without having the food in my hand, and then rewarding her with the food afterwards. So now she's kind of giving me 2 paws at the same time, which obviously I don't want. I should probably raise the criteria, going back with just the food in my hand and just the paw, and only clicking for the 1 paw lifts. See, that was another, I thought she was actually going to not do 2 paws there. So I would go back and I would be a little bit more strict on my criteria, only just letting her single paw, not double paw, because now it seems to be what she's thinking. So there we go. Just single paw gets the food, double paws do not, and then eventually, of course, having to do the other paw. So if I offer her my hand, she gives me double paw. There we go. And now we have a dog who shakes paw. Okay, so the second thing we're going to teach is her rollover. Now, Fundy does no rollover, but she was a funny dog to teach rollover because she's not very comfortable on her back. So she had like stiff legs sticking up in the air and everything. So she's going to roll over probably. So for me, so we'll get her to sit, and then we ask for a down, and then I curve the dog's neck kind of to her side, and then ask her for a full rollover. She's probably going to not demonstrate the steps of this very well because she already knows it. So ask your dog into a down, use the food lure to lure the dog over to her side, and then flip the dog over if she wants. Oh, okay, try it. Okay. Down. Flip over. Yes. And then click as she's starting to roll over into that actual position. So try again and do it down. And then as she gets better with it, you can start saying roll over. Same with shake a paw. Once the dog starts to get the actual behavior, you can start asking them to actually give you the behavior with whatever your cue is. So roll over, and there we go. So with shake a paw, generally like the hand signal is kind of putting your hand in the dog puts a paw. With roll over, I tend to use the motion I was using to get her into the rollover. So down, roll over, and then this kind of becomes my hand signal. Of course, I want my dogs mostly to be on verbals rather than just hand signals. She's not deaf, so she can definitely listen to my voice. So the rollovers tends to be fairly easy. Dogs tend to really like it. She was a little bit more difficult, like I said, just because she was uncomfortable being on her back. But now she rolls over like a champ. So get the dog into position, lure them down with the food, roll them over with the food. It's a little less comfortable going on that side. So we'll do this. Have fun. Down. Roll over. See, that stiff-leggedness is her, and then reward her while she's on her back, because for her, being uncomfortable is something that I want to reward. So food lure, down, roll over. Eventually just get rid of the food lure, so point to the ground and roll over with just your hand and give the clicker and the reward. So that's roll over. Very, very simple to teach a dog. Dogs typically like it unless you're like finding it a little bit uncomfortable and you really have to kind of curve their head into their side and then roll them over. Or just be on your back. Like this is a little weird because we haven't really worked on the other side yet. She's not quite comfortable. Or she's comfortable with that side. So down. I love this stuff. And curve to the side. Roll over. There we go. So when she's fighting me a little bit on that because she's just not comfortable with that way, but like I said, you just drag her over with the food, a couple of clicks, and she eventually would become much more comfortable on that side as well. So the next thing we're going to teach, and this is when I stand up, I'll probably get my head cut off, is figure eights. So this is something else that she does know. I don't click for this, just because I have food in both hands. So I rely on that verbal yes to get her to go through, because I tend to put food in both hands. So what I'm going to do here is get her into my side, and then I'm going to lure her through each leg and give a reward. Lure through the next leg and then give a reward. So we'll get her onto one side of me. To start this out, we just lure, yes, onto one side. Again, lure, yes, onto one side. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm just teaching the dog to wrap one leg at a time, which doesn't look like figure eights yet, but you want the dog to just be comfortable going through your legs. Some dogs will bite you on this. They'll try to go to other legs. They'll try to wrap around completely behind you. You want to just do one leg at a time to make sure that your dog is nice and comfortable going through there. I don't get rid of the food lure right away for this one because I want the dogs to be very, very comfortable going through my legs. So set the dog up. You go to lure through one leg at a time. You can give it a verbal command. Hi, cutie. I use through, so through, and that gives that nice little figure eight back and forth motion. So we can demo what it looks like. Through, and that just came from simply getting her comfortable going through one leg at a time, and then once you kind of have the dog naturally wrapping your legs, you can offer just an S curve through your leg. And then as your dog gets comfortable with that, you can ask for the actual figure eight, which goes right around, and then give the reward. I find that with this behavior, what most students struggle with is expecting their dog to do too much too soon. So they get rid of the food lure and they just want to get to the figure eight. I spent first complete couple of days just wrapping one leg. She's offering you paw. And then working on the S curve, just one through and back in reward, and then going for one figure eight. And again, students often want to do like multiple figure eight. So it's one leg at a time, an S curve, and then one figure eight. And then once that is good, you can start putting your verbal to it, like through, weave, whatever your verbal is for it, and getting your dog to do those multiple wraps after your dog has gotten consistent single figure eights. Then we can start doing multiple figure eights. And again, luring, get rid of the food in your hand and just have your hands, fists going down, or kind of like my hand signals for that. And then working on not having anything else, just going straight on to the verbal. And so this completes my student portion. My camera was an amazing student for me.